Hi guys, I'm Danny, and I started the Sunday gym because I've noticed lately that people tend to go to colleges and universities without actually knowing why they're there. Afterwards, starting jobs that are unfulfilling. So I'm interviewing different professionals to see what they have to say and to share their experience and knowledge with you. I hope you enjoy it. So, Neti, welcome to the podcast. How you doing? Been a while.
All good. Thank you very much for having me today. Nice to see
Glad
you as well. Long time.
glad to hear you well. It's remarkable to have you here. This episode is gonna be very solid, very interesting. And I'm pretty sure you can be a remarkable example about the whole thing. So the podcast will be focused on three main questions. What do you do for a living? How'd you get there? How'd you know this was the way to go? So tell us what you do for a living.
What I do for a living, I'm a product trainer since I can't recall, maybe over 15 years now. Product trainer to different companies. I haven't been at any point interested into working for a specific business. I was only interested into doing the job itself, the position itself. To be honest, for the last 10 years, I've been developing my facilitation skills. I've been working for a lot of companies that have been developing upskills programs, soft skills training. And if I have to be honest, this is my appetite. So you would see me to vent a little bit more during sessions like this. It is just because I do enjoy the audience massively. And I really like to work with opinions to see how we can manipulate, if I can use this word, just because the main focus or the final goal of a training would be to get everybody to a single point. And this is what amazes me the most of how different people can be combined into the same opinion so they can actually build the internal culture of the company. Um,
Absolutely. And it's really remarkable how you've been doing this. There's no way you could have done this for so long, this specific thing for so long, without actually really loving it, like really being into it. It's always a pleasure to talk to someone who's been in a certain field for quite amount of time. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a pleasure to speak with everybody because everybody have their own stories and reasons. But I specific because I'm a little bit of a laid back guy. I don't do many changes in my life, so always a pleasure to see somebody who's doing what they're doing. How'd you get there? Did you walk on the streets years ago and you're like, let me be a trainer?
nope, not really. No, I entered a company by the time I can't even recall the name. I think it was BTC Contact. It was long ago, long before 2005, I think. I can't even remember. I've applied for in the company as an agent, MoneyGram agent, that was servicing customers and receiving transactions and sending money transactions and stuff like that. I just entered the room and there was the trainer. It was, I think, four people of us. It was quite a small training. But the lady who was delivering the training, because we spent a month with her, was that much of a personality that I said to myself, I want to be that much engaging. I want to look that much smiley and positive. She never delivered a training and I never felt it boring. I never felt like it's too overwhelming. The information was given in so like small digestible bits that I was very much fascinated by the personality, by the professionalism, by the way she delivers and everything. And to be honest, I never had any deviation in my mind about what I want to do. So completing that stage of my life, I was servicing the agent's line, I can't recall, maybe 7, 8 years. I was even having like partially night shifts. I was changing businesses and stuff. I eventually changed the product itself. I was no longer servicing MoneyGram, but I started to service one of the biggest internet providers. By that time, the name was Be Unlimited. Then eventually they were bought by Sky, and I do still think that they are currently serviced by 60K, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. And eventually, many years after, when I've applied for the trainer's position, those people granted me the permission to start my career. But I never felt in my life a single day where I didn't enjoy what I was doing. I even liked talking to customers. I like that. That's a live person. I mean, you can hear what they're actually doing. You can hear the, I don't know, Madonna on the background, some music whatsoever, and you can just give them a smile over the phone. And then eventually, when I started, I never got any trainer program or nothing. I was just, bumped into a class and I was supposed to deliver. I didn't know what to do. With many years of practice, with a lot of investment from my employer's side, because they've invested in me and in some additional training, I got where I am. But I think that money comes to people only by the time when they do consider what they like the most. I doubt that I can spend 10 hours of my day with people that I don't like, with things that I don't like. I would most probably quit the very moment where I realize, oh my gosh, what the hell am I doing? I'm wasting my time with strangers and I don't want to do it. I just want to spend it with quality people, people I enjoy. And I just always wake up like, it's another day. There's something more that I can do better. And I like the contribution. I like the sense of belonging to a family. And I think the greatest motivator for me was when everybody was coming and was saying, when's the next session? That means, I was good enough for those people to want more. like a fascinating chocolate or something.
That kind of inner fulfillment is always what gets me out of bed. It's remarkable, and the fact that you consider people who aren't necessarily I'm sorry, I don't know what happened, necessarily obligated to tell you something nice are doing it, and it seems that they're doing it because they want to do it. It's remarkable, and I do enjoy the feeling. It's pretty good. And I love the story about the girl that influenced you, that you were fascinated by. It's life is strange. You never know what happened. For example, one of the things that I can relate to is that back then I was working for a company. I was in the supply chain department. Now I was always well behaved, of course, polite as possible. But there was that supervisor back then, and is like the embodiment of the word gentleman. It's like if you Google gentleman, you will see his photo. It was remarkable. Now that guy was like a role model for me. I was blessed to have him for 2 years. It's great, very solid man, very on spot. So I absolutely relate when you said that this guy influenced you like that. And how did you knew? You kind of already replied a little bit to the third question, like how did you knew that this was your way? And the reason I'm asking is because I'm sure you've noticed that people tend to go to colleges, universities because of that. You have to have a degree stigma, and later on they graduate, they're not sure what to do, they're not sure how to handle things. And we're talking about 20 something year old men and women, because they are men and women at this age. And it's a little bit troublesome to have folks at that age that don't know what they're doing. Not all, of course, but for those who are like that, that's the reason why I'm doing this show. So how did you, was it like a gut feeling where you, well, you were obviously influenced by this person, but I highly doubt that it would have made an impression on you if you weren't already that kind of a person. Do you had it in you? Were you drawn to something? How did you knew that this was the way to go?
Um, well, that might be a hard one to maybe to answer, not because I don't know the answer. The reason why is because I've always considered myself as being lucky knowing what I want to do. I saw that person, I liked her instantly. I liked the way that she was treating us as human beings. I liked the approach and everything, and I always knew that this is what I wanted to do. People are not that lucky though.
No.
I can I consider that, people are not that lucky. I can see because during last year, when I used to work for my previous employer, I've seen people entering my training class, average of up to 25, 30 people. 30 people would be a little bit exaggerated, but let's say a group of 20, 25 something. Most of them just graduated school, 18 years old. They could be even my own kids. And they were like, what am I doing here? When you ask them a simple question, I mean, what would you like to do in your life? I mean, why are you here? And what's the interest in your life? They would be like, yeah, I like to, I don't know, to play the guitar. I would like to listen to some music. And they've got that many and so different interests based in totally different spheres that they wouldn't focus on a single thing. I think that it comes with the nature of the times where we live, where you have like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all of those distractions. Because by my time, if I may say that, because 20 years ago, people were not having access to that many
Yeah.
information. They wouldn't going on TikTok that much. They would be largely reading because when I was graduating the university, there were no computers. And
Yeah.
if I wanted to read something from Tolstoy, I was supposed to book myself for a single book and to wait for 2 months to receive it. And and that's kind of when I tell that story to my students, they're like, you kidding me? Did you just made it up? They don't even believe me that this is the
Well,
reality.
of course they don't believe it because it's totally different world, and this is again why I'm doing it. So, uh, okay, was it like a gut feeling for you to go into the training session? I'm sure you felt it, but I'm not sure. I'm assuming that you felt it natural, and that's why
Yeah.
you're doing it. But did you study about that in college? Did you receive additional courses? How'd you get that qualification?
I did get the qualification in the university, teaching qualification, but that was something that I did like a mandatory course. I mean, I by that time I didn't enjoy it. To be honest, if I have to be a university professor or something, I would be very much bored and I would like literally quit my job instantly. The reason why is because Sofia University, in some terms, keeps those old school, traditional, or even like very much old methods of delivering training. And I was never fascinated by this. What actually brought me to thinking of using my teacher's graduate diploma was the way that you can deliver something and to make it more entertaining, the way that you can even move around the room. You're not just sitting there and reading out of a book. You make games, you communicate with the people, you ask questions instead of just waiting for them to read something. You put them into a position where they have to analyze a situation, to have it like a case study or something. And it was more for me like a gut feeling that this is what I want to do. I found out this was the first single moment when I found out that I really want to do that. It was my first sales training when I felt that much, exaggerated about the delivery, that it's kind of, I'm switching off everything that like surrounds me. And the only thing that I'm focused on are the questions, the comments, the people, the way I feel. And I feel like, it's like you get a booster of coffee or something, and your energy like boosts around the room. And you say to yourself, oh my gosh, this is what I'm good at because people are looking at me, they're listening, they're focused, they have adequate questions, top-notch questions. They have additional questions which are brought because they analyze the situation and they kind of predict of what might happen eventually, which is the real reason of why they would be in training, because we don't want them just to know something by heart. We want them to think and to have analytical thinking because they will be eventually solving problems with customers. And I think that this was the moment, but I would say that I would suggest for everybody who is interested into that, go to university, study something, because the university, it's not about memorizing information. It's just giving you the perspective of what you like and what you don't like. It's like if you have a salad or chocolate or let's say a steak, and you would try all of those three, you would know which one is your favorite. It might be that you don't even like any of those three, so you're still searching. But I mean, young people, that's why they're young, because they still do have the time to develop themselves. But they should be only focusing on what brings them joy, um, somewhere where they feel useful, and they have this percentage of contribution to other people. Like they felt the communication was fruitful to them and to everybody else.
That's a perfect example, and you said it remarkably well. And about the you training people in that way, I'm a living witness because that's how you and I met all those years
That's
ago.
true.
So yeah, I can confirm that myself because I was actually there in that room. That's how I met her, folks. So absolutely, Nettie, thank you for being with me. If there isn't anything else, all the best, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much for having me again. Thank you. Cheers.
Right on. Have a good one.
Bye.
Guys, I hope this one was useful. Please follow the channel on YouTube, Rumble, Gap, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Ring the bell and all the good stuff. Have a nice week ahead, and I'll see you next Sunday.